Everything is inspired by the teachings of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is the founder and chair of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Om Aganati Mirandasya Ganangana Salakya Chaksurin Meditam Yana Tajmai Sri Gurve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Savitam Yana Bhutare Sayam Rupakaramayam Jadati Swaparantikam. Our topic today is the enemy of excellence. True spiritual life means to live above average, above mediocrity. True spiritual life means to live a life of excellence for Krishna, who is our name for God. Our topic today is the number one temptation that you'll face on the road to being a person of excellence. What will it be? You're welcome to speculate, to run various options through your mind. I'll give you a hint. It will not be immorality. It will not be drugs. It will not be loose women or loose men. Our number one challenge on the road to excellence will be the temptation to give up. Maya, who is the enemy and whose job it is to keep us rotating in this material world, she wants us to give up on yourselves, give up on your marriages, and especially give up on your commitments to God. Maya can't do anything about the fact that you're here. You've already begun your spiritual life, but she will do everything she can. She'll pull out all the stops to keep you from finishing. Lots of runners start a marathon, but very few finish. Beyond talent, beyond training, beyond positive thinking and praying, we need to be able to tap into the power of what? Persistence. We need to decide up front, no matter what comes against us, no matter how tired or sore we get during the course of the race, we're going to go all the way with Krishna or God. We're not going to allow anything to cause us to give up. There'll always be 3 Ds on the road to your destiny: difficulties, delays, and depression. You have to know right up front in the beginning that you can't avoid them. You can't stop them. They're a part of Krishna or God's plan to grow you up and to mature you in spiritual life. If you throw in the towel during any one of these phases, difficulties, delay, or depression, you're not going to see your purpose fulfilled like it should be. Emma Smith holds the all-time NFL rushing record, 16,743 yards. You might know also that he wasn't as flashy as Walter Payton or Barry Sanders. He never possessed true breakaway speed, but his strength lay in his ability to persist. He just kept on running. That's 9.5 miles. It took him 13 NFL seasons to run 9.5 miles. How many of you are joggers in the audience? You probably did 9.5 miles this morning along the Provo River. It didn't even break a sweat, right? But the difference is you didn't have 11 huge defensive tacklers trying to take your heads off when you ran. His average run over those 9.5 miles was 4.3 yards at a time. That means he got tackled and knocked down 3,983 times. And you know what he did after every tackle? You guessed it. He got right up again and ran the ball. Sure, he was injured a few times, but he always returned. Now, I'm impressed, I don't know about you, by someone who would get knocked down almost 4,000 times, still they get up and run again. Now, even the best of people get knocked down in life. But what sets them apart from the quitters is that they get back up again. We can't get down and discouraged every time a little opposition comes across our path. People who experience Krishna, God's best, are people who have a never say die attitude. Anyone can quit, anyone can give up, take the easy way out, but Krishna is looking for people with a backbone of steel. Take the example of Srila Prabhupada, the founder of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. There were so many excuses he could have used to give up on his mission. Old age, that didn't stop him. He kept on coming. No money, that didn't stop him. He kept on coming. No friends. That didn't stop him. He kept on coming. Heart attack. That didn't stop him. He kept on coming. Ridicule, indifference from his patrons and God brothers in India. That didn't stop him. He kept on coming. Prabhupada said, in effect, to Maya, the only way you can stop me is to kill me. I will plant Krishna consciousness in America or die trying. And as far as the execution, the process, as far as becoming a 100% pure devotee of Krishna, one time a disciple asked Prabhupada, if I chant my Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, japa daily and serve nicely, how long will it take to become 100% pure devotee of Krishna? And Prabhupada said, about 40 years. Krishna consciousness, God consciousness is not cheap. It's not going to happen overnight. Now, how do you know that a dream that you're excited about is given by Krishna or by God? I'll tell you. It'll be much bigger than you can accomplish on your own. Even though you can't accomplish it on your own, the key is to pitch your tent in the land of persistence. That gets Krishna's attention. If you keep on keeping on in spite of the onslaught of the 3 Ds, Krishna will step in and take you to where you could not go on your own. If you'll put on the armor of persistence and swing the sword of faith, do everything you can do in the natural, stand strong, then Krishna will step in and he'll do the supernatural. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Don't ever give up. Don't ever show signs of weakness. Don't listen to the voice of discouragement. Don't even entertain the thought of defeat. You got to convince the enemy that you're going to continue on for as long as it takes. Nothing is going to keep me from loving and trusting Krishna. Now, success often comes at the very point where others give up. If you don't have strong beliefs, you're not going to have the power of flexible persistence. It's almost a cliche to cite the example of Thomas Edison and the light bulb. We all know, we've heard it before. He tried 1,000 experiments before he found the one filament made of tungsten, which created incandescent light. Imagine if he'd quit after 999. Then some other cherry picker would come along and get instant success. But he didn't quit. And in fact, he didn't see those 999 trials as failures. He saw them as 999 steps on the way to success. Now, did you know that as perseverance can be a habit, quitting can also be a habit? And would you agree with me today that lots of people, when times get tough, when there's a little bit of resistance, they take the easy way out and quit? That means they've gotten into the habit of quitting. As soon as there is a difficulty, a delay, or a dead end, they tell themselves, well, I guess God didn't mean for this to happen. No, you have to pass the test. Krishna is more interested in what's happening to you while you are working than he is in the results of the work. While you're doing a work in the temporary world, Krishna is doing a work in your eternal soul. Spirit trumps matter every time. Liberated spirit says, I can do all things through the Lord. Oh, Charu, I failed. I tried 10 times and I fell down every time. Well, my message to you is get up, dust off, try again. In every so-called failure, you learn a lesson which will take you further towards your goal. The road to success is paved with learning, comes in the form of failures. Krishna never, ever, ever, ever promised you that your dream would come true the very first time. Abraham Lincoln, I don't know if you know this, he was defeated in 11 political campaigns, minor political offices. He got defeated 11 times. He had 2 prolonged bouts with depression and thoughts of suicide. He had a nervous breakdown. 2 of his children died in infancy. Then he became the President of the United States. Mostly our problem is we just give up too easily. But the heroes of faith, the ones we hear about thousands and thousands of years later, they ask and they keep on asking. The heroes of faith seek and they keep on seeking. The heroes of faith knock and they keep on knocking. Now, if you'll keep putting one foot in front of the other, Krishna sees your efforts. Sarvata pariparam tat sarvatosrita. His hands and legs and eyes and faces are everywhere. And at the right time, the right doors will open. At the right time, you'll have what you need. Your season is on the way. It just boils down to how badly you want to accomplish your God-given dreams. Bobby and I had been serving in the Los Angeles temple for 10 years when we got the dream to start a Krishna conscious radio station. We'd heard about and even visited a Krishna conscious radio station in Italy one time while we were in transit on the way to India. Something stirred up within. Before coming to Los Angeles temple, I'd been temple president for 3 years in Berkeley, California, 5 years in Australia. And in those capacities, I'd given at least 7 to 9 classes a week for 8 years. In addition, there were a lot of festivals we organized at IMC, lots of interviews with radio and television, tons of invitations to speak at high school and colleges. Now, Los Angeles was a big Krishna community with lots of competent scholars and speakers. So I ended up giving class about once a week. And Bobby has this incredible artistic architectural talent, and there was no scope for it there in the LA community. I'd become addicted to communicating. So what better solution, I thought, than a radio station from which you could speak 24 hours a day. You could even put on recorded messages, go to sleep, and continue to communicate the message. Obviously, there were going to be difficulties. We had no real place to live in Utah, no proper housing, no money beyond the original down payment for the property. There were no devotees. Instead of the Los Angeles temple paying for food, transport, housing, etc., we had to do all of that. There were delays. It took us 10 long years of selling cookies at the exits of Walmarts and Kmarts to pay off the original mortgage. There were dead ends. A couple of times we would have lost the station had not the owners been willing to refinance. Many times it seemed to make more sense in the natural to cut our losses and run than it did to keep on selling cookies. But we were stubborn. Once in Los Angeles, I remember I hit a low point. It was in 1987. In the winter, we would go south because it was too cold to sell cookies outdoors. So I was back in Los Angeles, living out of a small Toyota motorhome, selling cookies outside of Kmart and Walmart doors. I'd had a good day, earned about $300. It was just after the earthquake in South El Monte, and there was major damage that was being repaired on Interstate 10. Not any proper signage. So I'm driving east when all of a sudden there are barricades blocking 4 lanes of traffic, and you only had the choice of exiting or going into the carpool lane. So I thought, I don't want to exit because my exit's further down. So I swung over into the far left lane and kept traveling. When I finally exited the ramp, you guessed it, there was a cop sitting right there at the exit ramp, pulled me over and fined me $271 for driving in the carpool lane. I thought, this is unfair. I got depressed, thinking, is this a message from Krishna to cease and desist? I'm all alone, living out of a motorhome, 700 miles away from Utah and my wife, nothing to show for a hard day's work. I'm deeply in debt. And even if I do continue making $300 a day, that's not going to be nearly enough to pay off the radio station. That was the low point. But Krishna likes us to be stubborn, mulish even, you might say, in the pursuit of our dreams. He likes it when we persist against all odds, believing in him to accomplish what we could not accomplish on our own. Today, the radio station's been paid off for, 40 years? 2 temples are built, also paid off. I get to give 7 classes a week. Bhai Bobby built 2 temples from the ground up, world famous temples. I get to MC a large number of festivals, including the largest Color Fest in North America. I get to talk on radio and TV regularly. We get to host hundreds of people, high school, college kids, tourists from all over the world on tours, and preach to them. And lastly, the talks I give, such as this one today, are recorded and rebroadcast on Facebook Live, KHCred, all over the world, wherever there's Wi-Fi. I'm here to tell you that if you honor the Lord, go all the way, be in it to win it. That's what gets him going all the way for you. Our message today is that the less you hold back in the service of the Lord, the more he will open the vaults of heaven and shower you with his blessings. He'll not only fulfill your God-centered dream, but he'll take your dream and supersize it. Every time you're tempted to give up, learn to look ahead for the rewards that crown those who finish their course, for those who break the tape at the end of the race. At the end of every race, there's always a reward: medal, plaque, ribbon, garland. I ran a marathon in Boise, Idaho many years ago. At the end of the race, you got the usual bagels, you got the usual apples, you got the usual bananas. But in Boise, Idaho, in addition to everything else, you get a 2-foot-long baked potatoes with lots of butter, sour cream. The rewards, however, are only for those who finish their race. You don't get a reward for starting. You don't get a reward for halfway through. Only those who finish the race get the big Idaho-sized baked potato. Now, many devotees from all over the world have come to join us serving in Utah, being attracted by our success. But very few have remained. They all say they're coming to stay, but shortly we start hearing the excuses. It's too hot. It's too cold. I don't like the Mormons. You're not paying me enough of a salary. One devotee left because he said the Color Festival made too much of a mess. Here's what Prabhupada says on the subject of staying the course. Quote, "Even if you have trouble in your missionary field, if you stick the course, finish what you started, you will go back to home, back to Godhead." Now, I'm here to tell you, I've run 32 of them, and I never met an easy marathon. It's a 26.2-mile race, and by definition, it is never, ever easy. And yet, whatever difficulties there may be, whatever delays or however long it may take you to finish it, and whatever depression there be on the way, the rewards only go to the finishers. The number one quality on the way to excellence is your will to finish what you started. Krishna says to a great devotee, to Arjuna, the son of Kunti, either you will be killed on the battlefield and attain the heavenly planets, or you will conquer and attain the earthly kingdom. Therefore, Arjuna, get up with determination and fight. And Prabhupada says here, anyone who is steady in his determination for the advanced stage of spiritualization and can equally tolerate the onslaughts of distress and happiness is certainly a person eligible for liberation. The one who is truly fortunate is one who is gifted with enthusiasm. It is said, never lag in zeal, but serve with enthusiasm. Many long-time devotees, not just Krishnas, but Catholics and Mormons and Jews, have fallen into a rut somewhere along the way, lost their passion to be the best for the Lord. You have to continually stir yourself up, stay excited. 500 years ago, Madhavendra Puri, a great devotee of Krishna, woke up one evening having just had a dream. Krishna told him to go to the east coast of India, Jagannath Puri, 1,000 miles away, and bring 85 pounds of sandalwood back for his deity in Vrindavan. Sandalwood was only to be had on the east coast in a place called the Malayan Hills. Now, the problem was that in Puri, in Orissa, the exportation of sandalwood was banned. It had never been done. It was absolutely prohibited. But Madhavendra Puri had the determination that this is the order from Krishna. No matter what, I'm going to carry it out. He walked 1,000 miles to Jagannath Puri. His reputation as a great devotee had preceded him. And against all precedent, he was issued a permit to take 85 pounds of sandalwood out of the state. And he was given 2 assistants to help him carry it. However, ahead of him on the way back was 1,000 miles of road, all of which had toll points every 4 or 5 miles. The roads were maintained privately, and the people in charge were the Muslims. So you know, the Muslims are not going to let a Hindu with a very, very valuable block of sandalwood pass like hundreds of toll booths for which you're supposed to pay a fee in order to pass. And yet Madhavendra Puri was determined. He said, my God can do anything. In the natural, I'll never be able to do it. But my God is a supernatural. So he started back from Puri to Vrindavan with a literally impossible task before him. He had no money to pay the tolls. Even on a matter of principle, the Muslims would never let him through with this valuable commodity. He got to the edge of the Aryan border, a place called Ramuna. Again, in a dream that night, Krishna said, because of your unshakable determination, I am giving you a dispensation. You just take the sandalwood tomorrow morning and you use it for my deity right here in Ramuna. My deity here and my deity in Vrindavan is the same. If you apply the sandalwood paste on a daily basis to me, that will satisfy the requirements that I have in Vrindavan. But if Madhavendra Puri had been half-hearted, if he'd been wishy-washy, if he'd been tempted to throw in the towel, what would Krishna have done? It was because of his I'm going to do it or bust attitude that Krishna showed up and showed out and gave him away. We learn from this. In the pursuit of your destiny, you have to have determination. And part of that comes from looking forward to the crown which is in store for those who finish their race. Don't ever be satisfied where you are. Press in and get to know Krishna more. His dream for your life is so much bigger, better, and greater than you can imagine. It is said in the Bhagavad Gita, one who performs his duty with great determination and enthusiasm and without wavering in success or failure is sure to be rewarded with the crown of devotional service in the eternal spiritual world. Let this be the cry of our hearts. Krishna, help me finish the race you've laid before me. Krishna, help me stand strong, fight the good fight of faith. Krishna, help me endure delays, difficulties, and depression as a good soldier. It's true that not everything Krishna asks us to do is easy. Let me challenge you. Don't ever give up. Show the enemy you are more determined to go back to home, back to Godhead, than she is to keep you in this material world. Krishna rewards persistence. The more you strive to live for Krishna, the more holy life you strive to live, the more the enemy is going to try and stop you, and the more determined you're going to have to be to keep moving forward. Make a quality decision with me today. No matter what opposes you, no matter who opposes you, no matter how many times you get knocked down, you are going to get up again. You are going to go all the way for Krishna. You are going to keep on keeping on, being your best, honoring the Lord until your very last breath. You are going to finish your race, claim your rewards in this life, and in the next life, go back to home, back to God. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you so much.